July is the month we celebrate our nation's independence and our freedom. Such patriotic holidays might hold special meaning for those who've served and sacrificed. People like Arvada neighbor Hal Carmichael. We'd like to share his story with you. In the spring of 1942, Sergeant Harold Carmichael sat reading a book on the deck of the USS Lexington as the aircraft carrier cruised east of New Guinea in the Coral Sea. A young Marine, not yet 20, Carmichael was a gun captain. And on the fateful days of May 7th and 8th, he was also about to become a war hero and a ship-sinking survivor in the Battle of the Coral Sea.
I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden they told, get up and get on your guns. Well, shortly after the Japanese appeared, they were torpedo planes. They threw 2 torpedoes at us, and one airplane I thought was going to hit the battery.
In all, the USS Lexington took 2 torpedo and 3 bomb hits. Hal Carmichael witnessed at least one of them.
Well, that bomb hit just beyond the ammunition storage and a 1,000-pound bomb hit, killed all those men. Killed 3 of my men and wounded 6 of them. But I was fortunate that all I had was burned on my face and my hands, but that didn't bother me.
The crew managed to stabilize the carrier's damage at first, but late in the afternoon, fires raged below from a crack in the carrier's fuel storage. The crew was ordered to abandon ship. Hal's memories of that day 65 years ago are still as vivid as the account of the battle in books and in his own writings.
The officers and men were reluctant to leave as I was. We had to order them to go. Most of the wounded were lowered to a destroyer alongside, the remainder going directly into small boats from the other ships.
Some lined up their shoes in an orderly fashion before leaving, he continued.
As though they expected to return. There was not the slightest panic or disorder. When I went over the side, went down the ropes, it's about 60 feet from the flight deck to the water. And you better hang on tight. We had life vests on. And the waves kept bumping me back to the ship.
Hal Carmichael was picked up by the cruiser Minneapolis and returned to the States a hero. Though the Lexington was lost, the actions of Carmichael and his crewmates helped damage 2 Japanese carriers, taking them out of the next big battle at Midway a month later, and contributing to the defeat of the Japanese in that famous battle. Commendations and awards recognized Hal's heroic efforts.
He kept his gun firing throughout an air attack, overcoming the obstacles of wounded crewmen and damaged material, and by this strenuous effort contributed to the stout defense of his ship. His actions were in keeping with the best traditions of the naval service.
Following the battle, Hal Carmichael continued with the Marines as a drill instructor, training young recruits, many of whom entered the service just as he had at the youthful age of 18. It was almost an adventurous idea hatched with young friends.
3 of us we wanted to join the Navy. So we went downtown, Mike talked to them, and they said, well, they had a 3-month wait. So we're standing out on the sidewalk, we're discussing it. And one guy says, let's go try the Marines.
Hal soon found himself on a train to boot camp in San Diego, a ride that changed the course of his life.
When I saw that drill instructor, this guy was something else. He'd be marching us down there, and we were in small squads. That's the way it was at the beginning of the war.
Ever since his boot camp days, Hal says he's proudly lived by the motto, Semper Fi. But following the Battle of the Coral Sea and his service as a drill instructor, Hal eventually returned to civilian life and his young bride. They'd married in 1941. The war over, they raised their family here in Arvada. Hal went into the sporting goods business and gained another claim to fame, inventing a sight for bow hunters.
I've had an interesting life. I have no complaints.
Today, 65 years stand between Hal Carmichael's heroic efforts on the deck of the USS Lexington and his modest home in Arvada.
I've got a lot more to do now. I'll probably fill this up.
Here, he cultivates his later life passion of growing tulips and tomatoes, and the roses he says meant so much to his wife.
This is a rose my wife really loved.
And when a patriotic holiday like the 4th of July comes round, Hal Carmichael humbly says he's proud to be counted as a member of the greatest generation.